Okay, so welcome to this evening's webinar on how to amplify your outreach event. My name is Erica and I'm presenting this information on behalf of the National Engineering Month Ontario Steering Committee. As you might know, there are a number of organizations that partner together in order to make National Engineering Month everything that it is, including your organization, including OSET, Professional Engineers of Ontario, Engineers Without Borders, and the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. So we're very happy to have you with us today to learn about how to amplify your outreach event and really make your efforts in organizing your event and all the hard work that you do worth it. So we are going to be focusing somewhat on social media and some ideas around publicity for this particular webinar. And just so you know, you do not have to be an expert in either area. I'm going to give you some basics and give you a few tips on how you might improve if you're already on these social media platforms, and also how you could get started from scratch if you wanted to. So here's the bare minimum of information that you really need to know as far as where we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So these are really what we feel are the most important social media platforms. There are dozens, if not more, social media platforms available, but we're not going to worry too much about some of the smaller ones. We feel like these are the ones that have stood the test of time somewhat and continue to be the best bang for our buck as far as getting the word out about what we're doing. So if you go onto Facebook, search for National Engineering Month Ontario, you will find our page. Please like it. Please ask your kids to like it, your friends to like it, your parents to like it. Whomever you can influence, that would be fantastic. And you can follow along with the content that we put out there as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about hashtags in detail, but you can look on hashtag NEM2015 on Facebook. Similarly on Twitter, our account or our username is @NEMOntario. So again, if you or anyone you know happens to be on Twitter, we definitely appreciate you following along with us and engaging with us on that platform. Again, another good way to find information that it's going to be relevant to us is on hashtag NEM2015. So if you're posting to Twitter, you can use that hashtag as well. Instagram, we revived our account in 2014 and we're continuing to work with it this year. You use hashtags on Instagram as well. And LinkedIn, brand new for 2015, we've started a group mainly for professionals, although students and people who are organizing events are definitely welcome to join to have a conversation about engineering and technology. We think that that will be less logistical in nature, that content, and more discussion-based, more around our values, our motivations, why we're doing what we're doing, and that sort of thing. So those are the big four that we're going to be talking about today. First, just want to note that the LinkedIn group is a new thing, and we'll definitely hope that you'll join to talk about some of the bigger picture stuff, not so much the details and logistics of when you'll receive a check in the mail or merchandise or things like that. And one final place that we really want to make sure you have bookmarked and you're aware of in your online goings and comings is nemontario.ca. So we profile fellow members of the engineering and technology community. We put out a lot of, we think it's great content, stuff you can share. For example, I got an email from a friend of mine that I went to high school with who said, I have a 13-year-old daughter who thinks she might want to be an engineer. Do you have any resources for me? And, off the top of my head, I could name 6 or 7 websites, but I realized I'd never written them down for anyone before. So there's an example of a post that's going to be coming up shortly. Definitely, if you have people in your circle who would benefit from that sort of thing, we encourage you to take that information and share it out. So when do you want to amplify your event? There are different tools, and we're going to talk about how you can use different tools at different times. Pre-event, you want to connect with organizations that might be interested in promoting your event. You want to promote them, promote your event, and sort of establish that partnership. During the event, you want to engage with your participants, so you might actually use social media or some sort of publicity tool to get your participants involved in your event. And then you can do quotes, anything that they say that you find particularly interesting or that you think is really on point. You can broadcast that, and then post-event, following up and sharing. Let me just stress this: if you must only do one of the three, if you're feeling like you only have time to do one of the three, definitely the post-event is the most important. And just sort of going back to the beginning for a moment and saying, well, why do we even have to bother to do any of this amplification stuff? Why can't we just take our funding and do our event and make it happen, and then everybody goes home and that's it? Why do we need to tweet about it or write about it or take pictures or anything like that? And I would say a couple of reasons. First of all, it's basically so we have proof that the event happened, so that we know that everything's happening the way that we say it should, that there's a little bit of due diligence there. And then also to really capitalize on the opportunity, because you put a lot of work and a lot of thought into these events. We know how much you care about putting on a good event for your audience, whether it's a group of students or a group of professionals or a combination. And we really want to make sure that other people get to benefit from the great stuff that you're doing in the form of enjoying it, say in a newspaper article, or maybe in the form of some photos that get shared afterward. So really, each one of our events comes together to form this sort of groundswell of events that we're seeing across Ontario. It's going to be somewhere between 250 and 280 events, which is huge. That's way up from last year when it was 187. So kudos to each and every one of you for being part of this campaign. And each of your events is important, and we'd really like to see you getting online and telling the story of your event and using these tools. So let's say that you're on Twitter or you're on Facebook and you posted, hey, we're having an event on March 17th and it's going to be great, and well, what else could you talk about? Well, we don't just want people to come out to our event. That's maybe one of our goals that we have. But we also, fundamentally, the reason that we're doing this whole campaign is because we want to shift people's perception. We really want to raise their awareness about what engineering and technology are doing in society and the importance of the work that we do. And so how can we do that? We can't just say, okay, it's important and you just have to believe us. We need to use examples, and they have to be examples that are really relevant to people and are going to get them thinking and get them engaged. But you don't want to go too complicated either, because then you risk coming across as very non-inclusive. If you risk intimidating people and having them think, oh, I don't know anything about that, I can't be a part of that. And they'll think it's not relevant to them, whereas we really want the opposite message to come across. So what we recommend as sort of a tool to sort of balance these two things that we're trying to accomplish at the same time, we want to talk about things that are meaningful, but we also want to do it in a very accessible way, a way that's going to be able to transfer to all kinds of different audiences, is to come up with a concept cloud. And so we came up with this idea by saying, well, what are the basic ideas or themes or topics that we want to bring up with people? And then let's figure out how to tell that story, rather than just saying, hey, engineering is about creativity. How can we give an example of a really creative engineering or technology project that really has leveraged the people in the project to be creative, and the outcome is very creative, for example. So we think that some of these really important themes are creativity, sustainability, the fact that we're shaping the future, the way that societies have developed around the different technologies and engineering feats that have been present over the years. So this is definitely, it's sort of the balance to the future is that the past as well. Although we want to be careful when we talk about the past that we're not implying that engineering is a thing of the past, but it's also very forward-looking and very innovative. You can see innovation is another one of our themes here. Diversity, that's a really cool one, and it's sometimes a bit tough to describe, but we suggest two angles for diversity. One is that there are so many different opportunities available. If you take an engineering or engineering technology degree, you're going to be able to work in a lot of different industries in a lot of different places. You could end up working on anything from, aerospace systems to biomedical devices to smartphones. You could work on water systems. You could work on urban planning. You could work on, manufacturing, advanced technologies, many, many different paths open up. So the engineering really is everywhere. So that's one type of diversity we can talk about. And another type of diversity is to say that we really do need all different types of skills. We want people, obviously we want as much of a gender balance as we can get. We want, we need younger people to come into the profession as well. We don't just want to have, the older, more experienced engineering and technology professionals, but we want this diversity of age. We want people with different learning styles. We would welcome people with disabilities because they're going to bring a different set of life experiences to the table that will allow us more insight into certain areas and problems. People from different cultures, different parts of the world. I mean, these are all different types of diversities that we all bring. We bring our whole selves when we come to work, and we bring different perspectives and different ways of thinking. So in order to solve the challenges and, make the impossible possible, we really do need all those different perspectives to work together as a team. So just talking about that, and maybe you have an example from your work of how diversity really helps us crack these problems, is another example of a great concept to get across within engineering. And I'll talk about why that's an especially important message in a moment with our messaging guidelines. Water, again, something very easy to relate to, very, very popular, very important theme, obviously. 1 billion people in the world don't have access to clean water, and how can engineering and technology contribute to that? A solution to that particular problem, very complex, but very possible to come up with some solutions to make that human problem better. Safety, I think that's something we all take very seriously, whether it's something in the workplace itself or whether it's something that's going on when people are using your product. Do you have a story about that and why that's important, and the ways that engineering and safety and technology and safety all work together? The fact that engineering and technology are global in scope. What are some examples? Maybe you had the opportunity to work on a project that ended up somewhere else in the world, or maybe you went somewhere else and worked internationally, and how that translated and how engineering is different and how it's needed around the world in different cultural contexts. Innovation, I mentioned already, such a huge buzzword right now, but really, what is it fundamentally, innovation, what is it other than just a continuous improvement cycle? You want to get clear on what you want to accomplish. You've got your specs, you've got your idea. You do a prototype, you put a system or a product together to try and meet those needs. You test it out, you try again to improve it, right? So that innovative loop, and obviously working together is a key part of that. And teamwork in engineering. These are all different stories that we want to tell about engineering, because we know that these are the most effective messages. And I hope that all of you have seen these before about the messages that are most effective. Our campaign has this as sort of the core of our strategy, that we know that these are the things that we want people to know about. When they think about engineering and technology, we want them to think, this is really cool. There is a place for me in engineering and technology. We want young people especially to really feel like that door is open to them. It's not something that they're intimidated by or being told, no, you don't belong there for whatever reason. That we have a diverse set of challenges, diverse set of problems that we're trying to solve, all of us together, and we need that diversity to come into our engineering and technology family to help us really break through and solve these problems. So the second messaging guideline is about shaping the world around us, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And that's a pretty neat one. It's sort of obvious to most of us, but the world does not look now the way it did 50 years ago, and what are some of the differences, and what are some of the things that have really been game changers, and a lot of them are, engineering and technology related. And then what could the future be? I think especially for young people, that's inspiring to think of, because we don't really know what the future is going to be. What's the next thing that has the type of impact that the internet has had on us, for example? What's that going to look like in the future? And as engineering and technology professionals, we're largely going to be the ones that are figuring that out and implementing and developing those products and solutions and processes and things. So it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of power and a lot of possibility inside the profession. Third, speaking of power and possibility here, we've got creativity and imagination to turn ideas into reality. So again, you could talk about the design process and how at the beginning you had an idea, everything that is human-made product, an engineered product at one point didn't exist. Someone had to think of it first and then figure out a way to make it happen. And creativity and imagination are two things that people may not necessarily associate with engineering and technology. They may think of it as more of a very analytical, sort of left brain pursuit. But at the end of the day, it really is about that possibility and taking those ideas and turning them into reality. So we want to make sure people know that as well. Finally, health, safety, and happiness. I know I mentioned that's very important to a lot of us, the way that engineering and technology influence our quality of life, and the way that engineers and technologists make a world of difference. So that's the theme to our campaign. You may have heard this already. It was the same theme as last year in 2014, and we decided to keep it. It's the theme for the entire National Engineering Month, all the way across the country. In every province, this is the theme that they're working with. So we think that a good way to talk about this theme, to illustrate it, some of the things you could share, would be examples of things that touch everyday lives. So world of difference could be anything from something that helps protect and take care of people from a physical safety place, bike helmets, seat belts, any number of things like that. They're just small examples, but these can be really good little illustrations to get people thinking, because these are the things that they see every day and they touch and they come in contact with. Again, if you wanted to go a little bit broader, you could talk about themes like global scope and how engineers are making a difference around the world, how technologists are making a difference in other countries, public health and safety and what that looks like, the infrastructure that we all need and enjoy to have clean water and safe roads and schools that that work for us, or even space travel. I mean, a world of difference. There's sort of a play on words there of getting out of this world sort of thing. Chris Hadfield is really good at telling stories about what it's like to get out of this world and how the different things that he recommends engineers and scientists and inventors and technologists think about if they want to have that type of a career. So he's really good at talking to kids about that. So here are just some examples of things that you could put together to put on Facebook, to put on Twitter, get people talking, asking questions. So I suggest you do a bit of a brainstorm with your team. And here's one that we did one day. We did all 6, but I really don't think you'd need to do every single theme. Maybe just pick what's the particular story, what's the particular message that your event is trying to get across. Go with 1 or 2 maybe, and go from there and see if you can really tell that story. And it's breaking it down into little examples, little pieces of information. Maybe it's a photo with a little caption and that's it. It doesn't have to be a big complicated presentation or anything. It can really be those little bites of information that start to paint a picture for people. So I'm going to talk a bit about Twitter at this point, and I guess this applies to any social media platform, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. 20% can be blasts with content. That means, you're basically saying, look at us, we're doing this event, this is what we think, this is what we know. But 80% you want to be social and conversational. So that means, think of it as though you're walking into a cocktail party. The people who are most wanted as conversational companions are the ones that engage with other people, that acknowledge other people, that ask them, well, what do you think? What have you been up to? How is this important to you? Any number of questions to draw out other people and to hear their opinions and their perspectives. So for an example, rather than saying engineering is creative, as sort of as a statement, you could ask it as a question and say, what words come to mind when you hear engineering? And find out what people have to say. This would be a really interesting conversation to get things started. So converse as much as possible. So here are a few ideas I came up with just off the top of my head to break the ice, quote unquote, on social media, as you sometimes need to do in person, even at a cocktail party. How will you celebrate NEM 2015? So that's talking about National Engineering Month. And that's maybe a bit of a cheeky question if people don't even know what National Engineering Month is, but they say, how will you celebrate? How could you celebrate, the impact that engineering and technology have on your life? And see what they say. Anything. The whole idea is just to get them thinking, just get a conversation started. What made you choose engineering or engineering technology? That would be for people who are already studying or have already studied and are working in one of those two areas. What are the most important challenges you solve in your work? Again, that would be for someone that's already working inside the space. And who are the people your work helps you to serve? This is really important that people understand the connection between the engineering work and the real world impact, that this is about people helping people. It's a really important point to get across. So that's kind of a strategic question there. Really good question. What does your audience care about? I think if you ask that question and maybe spend a 20 minutes or so really brainstorming on it, thinking about it, whether it's students that you're targeting or professionals, what are the things that they're thinking about? Know that they might use social media as their primary news source. So how could you relate something, say, to something that's happening in the news? I think not exactly news really, but there was that recent viral explosion about the black and blue dress that some people thought looked white and gold, and how so many people started sort of leveraging off of that and making fun of it as a way of getting people talking. So, if there's something going on that everyone's aware of, you can acknowledge that and say, hey, like, so very similar to how you would in real life. Like, boy, it's really cold out there. Good thing we've got this system to keep us warm, kind of thing. That was actually one of the things we posted on Facebook today, because one of our major sponsors is Toronto Hydro. Said that February was the coldest on record ever in Toronto this year. So there you go. Here's our National Engineering Month Facebook page. You can see we've got 576 likes, which we're very happy about. Definitely would love to have more. So if you're on Facebook, or if your chapter is on Facebook, or your organization is on Facebook, please do follow us, like us, and ask people to like us. You find us basically just by adding in Engineering Month at the top, or National Engineering Month. You'll be able to find us, no problem. Who else could you follow on Facebook? Well, Engineers Canada is a really good one to start with. And what happens that's pretty cool in Facebook is that they have this algorithm that will tell you, okay, given that you liked Engineers Canada, you may like these other things too. They'll give you a bunch of options. Sort of like when you purchase something off Amazon and they say, well, based on your recent purchase, we think you may enjoy these things. And they'll have 5 or 6 related books for you to consider. So that's a good thing to start with. Who else could you follow? Engineers Canada, I mentioned, Engineers Without Borders, OSET, Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. Some PEO chapters are also on Facebook. First Robotics, Science Expo, Women in Engineering, Actua is another one, ACTUA, or other organizations with a similar mission. And when in doubt, look at who they're following and look at who is following them, and you'll get a really good idea of who's relevant and sort of could be a good interconnection or a good contact for them, for you as well. So basically, it's a big web of people all connected together, and you'll have no problem once you step into it. So as far as what you're posting, make sure it's thematic. It's not just random. It is related to one of your themes. So this takes you back to the Concept Cloud, and it'll really save you time if you know that you're trying to talk about sustainability and safety. Then it's almost like you get a filter on your mind, and then anytime you see something that relates to one of those two themes, a little bell goes off in your head, and you say, aha, I should share this. It becomes much more of a habit over time. So make sure it relates to your themes, that it's shareable. Photos and graphics are the most shareable thing. Articles work as well, or if you just want to type a couple sentences, that will work. Very important to post regularly. We suggest 2 or 3 times a week during the campaign, but if you can only manage once a week, then that's fine too. Much better to be putting things up once a week, or even twice a week, versus 17 times in one day and then nothing for 3 months. You want to be regular about it. And as far as an ethical guide, I think that this probably goes without saying, because we're all professionals. I just want to remind you that when you're posting under National Engineering Month, as in general, you are representing the partner organizations, and you want to make sure that the content that you share is appropriate and it's relevant to the topics that we all care about. So there's nothing inappropriate, nothing that would get you into trouble at work is probably a safe guideline. Another good rule of thumb is if you wouldn't say it out loud to the president or CEO of one of these organizations, then you probably shouldn't be posting it online. Probably a good rule of thumb, and I think everyone understands what that means. Feel free to clarify that with me if you like. On Facebook still, you can go with pages or you can go with an event. Pages we suggest if you have recurring events and you have many organizing bodies or just one organizing body. An event, that's just a one-time thing. So if you're only, just on Facebook just to promote your NEM event, we suggest you make an event page. Whereas if you're planning to continue to engage on Facebook, or if you already have a Facebook page, then you could use that. Another tool that's very handy is Eventbrite for recruiting volunteers. You can set it up so that your volunteers have to collect, they have to purchase a ticket, and you can make it free so they're not actually transferring any money, but they are committing, they give their information, they give their email address, and you know what they've signed up for and when. So that's handy. And here's just a little thing to show you. You go into the little gear here and go create page. That's pretty easy if that's what you want to do. Another thing you can do is to tag your friends. This is one way to share content with others. So here's an example from us. Last year we put something on our own Facebook page. Say you're visiting the National Engineering Month Facebook page and you think, oh, this would be great for someone I know. My friend Rebecca would be great for this. So you put a little @ sign and then start to type your friend's name. She or he will pop up, and then you can write a little note that says, this sounds like something for you, and that will send a notification to your friend and basically bring them to the page. So it brings eyeballs to the things that we want eyeballs on, which is great. So that's one way to accomplish it. Another thing is with the share feature. So this is really, really powerful. So if you don't remember anything else about Facebook, we ask you to remember this. Find the National Engineering Month Facebook page, click on the share button at the bottom of anything that you like that you think is interesting and relevant. So here's something from the Engineers Canada website. It's Facebook page. It's all about more diversity. You see the hashtag diversity right here. If you want to share that with someone that you think will find it interesting, a little window will pop up here. You can share it on your own page, so your own Facebook page. You can put it on someone else's. You can put it in a group or on a page you manage. That could be your chapter page, your organization page, and then share the link. So that's a really good way. You can add some comments in if you want to. That's a really good way to spread content, and we would be thrilled if you were willing to go to our National Engineering Month Ontario Facebook page, click on the bottom on the share of the articles that you like, and spread them out, because that really helps us get more eyeballs to what we're doing. So Twitter is the next topic I wanted to cover, and they say that Twitter sphere is what they refer to this. It really is an entire world. It's a social media platform. It's also a noun or a verb, so you could say, did you see my tweet? That refers to a single post you've produced on Twitter. Or, yeah, you should tweet that, is the act of creating a tweet. So hope you follow me there. Retweeting, a noun or a verb, to reshare someone else's soundbite, and that's a really easy way to engage with people. It's just to share what other people have said, things you agree with, things that you think are interesting. So should I retweet what Rob Ford said? Probably not. Tweeted using in the past tense, did you see what I tweeted about National Engineering Month? So that's how the language works. Here's an example of a tweet. If you're not sure, it's basically a small post. They call it a microblogging service. And so so basically it's 140 characters, and this is what our Twitter page looks like. So each one of these is a single tweet. And again, if you're just getting started on Twitter and you want to know who to follow, have a look. Go to our page. It's at NEM Ontario. It's not case sensitive, so don't worry about the capitals. And look at who we're following and who's following us. Those are some really good. Suggestions on where you can start. So who else could you follow? Anytime you see an @ symbol, that means it's someone's account. That's a username. So OSET Prez is on there as well. Prez with an S. Stephen Morley. shares some really good information about engineering technology. We've got PEO Lake Ontario, PEO Muskoka chapter, or sorry, this is Mississauga chapter, my mistake. This is Quinty out in Belleville, and PEO_SM is Simcoe Muskoka. EWB as well, very active on Twitter, and EOT-EWB, that's the organization that that specifically is dedicated to engineering outreach within Engineers Without Borders. So those are some examples of organizations or entities that you can follow. Then there are also individuals. So Kim Allen, PN, she's the CEO of Engineers Canada, tweets lots of great stuff. Annette Bergeron, she is a past president of PEO. She's fantastic, very engaged, very active on Twitter. Commander Hatfield, that's Chris Hadfield, and he's great, as I previously mentioned. At Engineer Your Life, that's me actually, my personal Twitter account. Rosemarie Almond is another great, very active Twitter user in our community. So she does a lot of event organization. And see who they follow and who they tweet to. So these are just some good opening suggestions for you. Here's what your Twitter feed will look like. So these are all different. Each one of these is one tweet. And something you can do, if you're not really sure what to do exactly, is you can retweet things. Something you really like or you find interesting you want to share. Just click on these little arrows here that sort of look like they're doing the recycle symbol kind of thing. Click on that, and it will create a retweet, and you can share it. So this is what will happen. This will pop up. So if I wanted to retweet this tweet by Kim Allen, I would hit retweet, and it would show up on my feed as something that I had shared. So now is the time we're going to talk about hashtags. So hashtags are, you're using this little number sign. Many people might know this as pound if you've used it on a telephone before, but hashtag has really taken on a life of its own as a label or a tag that you apply to a certain tweet or a certain post that basically sorts that content into one place. So you can see here on the right-hand side, this is my hashtag NEM feed. So what I did was I entered at the top of the page hashtag NEM 2015. All this stuff came up, and you can see it's from all different people, but all people who have added this label of NEM 2015 to their tweet. So they know that it's going to show up when people are looking for stuff about National Engineering Month 2015. So that's why it's especially great. It's sort of one-stop shopping. You go, you're going to find everything to do with National Engineering Month 2015 all in one place. So that's a really good, it's a good trick to know. Learning how to search a hashtag, it's not hard, but it's really, it really saves a lot of time, because one thing that people say often when they go on Twitter is there's just so much on there that's overwhelming. You get lost in sort of the Twitter sphere, right? Well, learning how to use hashtags is a really great way to make it clear, make it fun, and make it easy to navigate. So again, National Engineering Month, that is the hashtag for all of Canada. You will see tweets from Ontario, you'll see tweets from New Brunswick, you will see tweets from Alberta, all the way across. Although I think they may also use National Engineering and Geoscientists, so NEGM. So anyway, that's something to bear in mind as well. You can look around and experiment with different hashtag searches. It doesn't take any longer than a couple seconds to bring up a whole bunch of different related tweets. Another thing you can do is search hashtag engineering. Now, mostly you'll find job postings related to engineering, but you'll also find some cool stuff that's a little bit outside the box. The UK is doing a lot of really cool stuff in engineering outreach, as is the US. They have a lot of good content about how to inspire kids and educate the general public about engineering and technology. So you might want to do a search on that as well. Outreach is also a good one. When you're putting hashtags into your post as you're posting things, we recommend no more than 2, maybe 3 hashtags per post. Otherwise, it just ends up sort of getting a little bit gummed up. And as you can see, you can also tag people's accounts. So Rose, in this case, has added Caitlin and Engineers of Tomorrow, EWB, in her post. So that is a guarantee that both Caitlin and Engineers of Tomorrow will see her post, as well as hashtag NEM 2015. So that's a good way to do it. You can have a link which will bring a photo along with it, and you can also add a link that may not bring a photo along with it. There are lots of different ways to do it. Another really great thing to do during an event, if you have one person that's just dedicated to doing this, that's ideal, is by live tweeting. So what this means is you send a bunch of tweets all in a row. You can see this is me. I was doing this at Rethink EWB. So you can see I've got Rethink EWB in each one, and I use the hashtag EWB 2014 as well. So similar to the way we're using NEM 2015, we had this hashtag dedicated for that conference. So you can see here's one photo. There's Sydney right there, there's Pamela there, there's Dave Goldberg there. So right away, these people are getting tagged. They're going to get a notification in their feed that says, hey, there's a photo of you here, or there's something that we think you'll find interesting. That's a really good way to do it. You send tweets, many of them in a row. You're creating a running commentary of what is going on. And this is basically just me taking notes, 140 characters at a time. And to be honest, this just has become part of how I do things now. And very rarely do I take with me a notebook and pencil or pen anymore. I more likely will have my phone with me so that I can just quickly jot down a key concept or an interesting question that I think comes out of a conference or out of an event, and then I share it right away. Boom, no fuss, no muss. It's out there, right? It's out in the world. I've shared it, and I can come back to see it myself as well. So it becomes a little bit of a note-taking thing. And you can share pictures that way, links. You can follow up with people. This is amazing, especially if they're on Twitter as well and they're tweeting as well. You get a nice interplay going. Oh, yeah, they wrote that down. I remember that. I retweeted it. It's like I wrote it too. So this is kind of a neat way of doing sort of some live journalism almost. And it brings your online audience into the room, which is great. So I guess I'll just share a quick story about this. Many of us I know as Canadians, we make it through the cold winter by watching sports on TV. Myself, I'm a hockey fan, and I really enjoyed the World Junior Hockey Championships. Unfortunately, I don't have cable, so I couldn't watch the live game when the Canada-Russia final came up. But what I did end up doing was I watched Twitter, and I searched on the hashtag WJHC 2015 for World Junior Hockey Championship 2015. And I ended up knowing basically as soon as things were happening, because there were just so many people tweeting, and most of them were saying, my gosh, what a game, I can't believe this. You know, but you get pretty much up to the minute coverage of when someone scored or someone got a penalty. So even if you're not a sports fan, maybe if you enjoy other types of events, you can see that live tweeting is a really cool way to tap into a whole bunch of people. And after an event, this is something that we suggest. Try quoting things that people have said. So you can do this afterwards. Connect with event participants this way. You can share photos. Something that someone said at an event that I was at that was really great. They said, you know, that would be a cool job because you get to use your imagination. So this reminds us of what? It's that third messaging guideline, right, about creativity and imagination to turn ideas into reality. Amazing, right? Someone got it. They really got that message about you could use your imagination in working in engineering. So I put that up as an overheard at NEM. Same thing here, same campaign. I want to be a house engineer. So there was this young girl who just got so excited about the idea of working in engineering. She's like, no, I want to be a house engineer. It was such a cute thing that she said, and she had so much enthusiasm. I thought, you know, that's a moment that we really want to capture and share. So it was at the Grand River PEO's event. So I put their handle in there, and it was held in conjunction with an organization called Shad Valley. And so I also put the hashtag in. You can see I got 2 retweets off this because people liked it, and they saw it because I put their, I used these hashtags and these @ symbols as well. Another easy thing, if you're not sure what else to tweet, take pictures of the best surveys that you get and share those out. You can see I got 6 retweets off this one because this kid just said the best thing. I thought engineering wasn't fun, but now I know it's fun. Great. That's a great outcome to come out of one of these, one of our outreach events. So we wanted to make sure that we shared that right away. And now you've seen it, and anyone else that was following me on Twitter has seen it, and anyone that was following anyone who did one of these 6 retweets has seen it. So we're really spreading the word, and we're getting our message out there in a big way. So I hope you can see how powerful this is. And even though it is more work to do when you're not used to it, it really is worth it. So some other hashtags you can have a look at. Play around with this in your spare time. If you want to just focus on Ontario, you can look at hashtag NEM Ontario, engineering, technology, innovation. These are all good ones. I Engineer is a campaign that's being run by the Canadian Women in Science and Engineering Ontario. They're profiling a female engineer every day, and that's pretty cool because it gives us a window into what these different people are doing, as well sort of illustrates the diversity within engineering, and I think that we can all agree, you know, men and women working together is really going to make the profession healthier. So I Engineer is a good one to keep an eye on this month. PEO, hashtag EWV, these are good places to look as well. These hashtags, I'd be lying if I said they were well established. There's probably only a couple of things on each one of them, but I think World of Difference is a great one given our theme of the campaign, and Shape the Future. So anytime you come along, you come to something that you think fits that bill, throw that hashtag in the tweet, and it'll be up there to share with everybody. Big Beacon is another one that I wanted to give a shout out to because that's a really interesting movement. Actually originates out of the United States. They're looking to create a whole new engineering education system. So some people, I know students, would probably find that interesting, and maybe some of us that are practicing as well, and look back on our engineering education and wonder what happened. You can see some of the things that they're working on. Very innovative, cool stuff. There are 2 other cool online things I wanted to bring your attention to. One is a brand new campaign that we're trying this year called Engineering Selfie. So here's an example. Rose was good enough to put herself up as an example. Here's Rose in the photo. As you know, a selfie is a photo you take of yourself. An engineering selfie is a photo that shows you in a context of something you created through your engineering and technology work. So this is pretty cool. She writes, I engineered a more after-hours banking experience. That's what she said. And she hashtagged engineering selfie, so that's her label that she put on it, and then she also added NEM 2015 for people to see it during this campaign. So that's great. Rose, I happen to know, works on security systems, so she would have had some part in the design of the system that's being used at this particular bank. So that's great. I mean, there are lots of good things about this. It shows her. You can see her. She's smiling. She's a regular person. She's someone that people can relate to. And then we get a sense of the work that she's done. And if they bank, they understand that, you know, and if they've gone out late at night and they've wondered if it's safe, then they're all the more thankful that, you know, that she and the other engineering technologists worked on that system and made it what it is. So really great way to ground the work that we do, which may seem a little abstract and complicated to people, in something that they can understand very easily. So great job on the engineering selfie. Definitely encourage you to think about what your engineering selfie could look like, how you could ground it in something that people are really going to recognize and be able to relate to. The other cool online thing that we're doing, hashtag EngCulture. So this refers to engineering culture. We're going to do a live online discussion on March 11th at 7:30. So meet up with us online. At that time, you can be in your pajamas if you want to, or you can be still at work. It doesn't really matter. It's an online event where we're all going to get together and talk about the different features of engineering culture and how we see it coming together. So we'll be talking about what engineering is to us and what our experiences have been and where we want it to go. So this is the first time we've ever tried an online event, so we really encourage you, or maybe someone from your chapter or from your organization could attend on your behalf if you're not able to. So those are 2 very cool online things. Finally, I'm going to talk just a wee bit about Instagram. This is something, it's another social media platform similar to Facebook, similar to Twitter. We got onto it mostly because this is where the kids are. This is what we're told. Twitter is too much drama, they said, but Instagram is my life. That's a direct quote from a 13-year-old kid that I spoke to, I promise. So we thought, all right, let's dust off our Instagram account, start using it. The cool thing about Instagram is you can only use it from your phone. So you're taking pictures, you can only post from your phone. You can view the account on your laptop or on your desktop computer, but you need to have the app on your phone in order to post anything. So open that up, take a picture from your library. You can add some edits. One thing people really like about Instagram is that you can add these different filters that makes it look like a professional photo, no matter how amateur it is or how bad the lighting is. Add in your caption, and it's exactly the same thing as Twitter. You can put hashtag, all of these different things. NEM, obviously this year will be 2015. This example was from last year. And another neat thing you can do with Instagram is you can post directly to Facebook or to Twitter. So it basically takes a copy of whatever you're posting, including the photo, and posts it to your other accounts. So you have to set it up so that everything's linked together, but this can really save you time. If you want to be on Facebook and Twitter, one way to do it would be to just post on Instagram. If you want to use photos, then it would be an efficient way to sort of hit all three at the same time. So you can explore hashtags. You can see we've got some examples of different funny hashtags here. So engineering is one. Engineering problems, engineering life, engineering students, that sort of thing. You look at engineering problems, you've got all these sort of funny photos. They're sort of ironic. I recommend you go on, have a look, see what you can find there. It's pretty amusing stuff. But if you're feeling overwhelmed at this point, if I've thrown a lot of information at you, you're like, boy, I don't even have time to, put everything I need to do together. I can't afford to be adding a whole bunch of things. Focus on using the tools that you have well. If you're just doing Facebook or you're just doing Twitter or you're just doing Instagram, then just focus on using those tools well. No need to be on every platform. If you are already on every platform, I wanted to give you all the information that you would need that we would recommend. And at the end of the day, the most important thing are the overall goals that you're trying to achieve. And we do recommend that you mix up online and social media engagement with old-fashioned techniques. So speaking of old-fashioned, word-of-mouth excitement is often the best way to generate excitement and publicity and promotion for your event. Social media can become the backup. You can, meet someone and talk to them about something and then say, oh, by the way, check out our Facebook page for the details of where we're going to be, kind of thing. You can also reach out through email, which is, by today's standards, a bit of an old-fashioned tool. Partner through other groups to see who might be willing to promote your event for you. For example, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or Girl Guides. If it's a youth event, then maybe they're going to love this, right? Free programming for them. Why wouldn't they want to promote you? So ask about that sort of thing as well. If it's a yearly event and you don't have it already, you can start a mailing list. As long as you get consent from people to reach out to them, they will be more than happy to stay on your mailing list for future National Engineering Month events or potentially other outreach that you're doing throughout the year. So this can really be a great opportunity for public engagement generally. And of course, get your people involved. Tell your parents or your kids or your cousins or anyone, and tell them to tell their friends to go as well. So once you really put your own personal, your personal reputation into something, remember what we're doing, this is not just for a certain in-crowd of engineering and technology professionals. We really want to engage the public. So that means, this could be for anybody. It could be for your family. It could be for your friends. Could be for other people that you know through different networking groups or professional groups or hobby groups. Really encourage you to put that out there. Make it personal. Talk to the people you know and the people you meet. Put it out there. You never know. They might come, they might not, but you never know if you don't ask. Send personalized asks to people. Make it really personalized. People appreciate that. And when you're thinking about your marketing, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just make it smart, not hard. And an example here is think about the person that you want to reach out to, and then think about where that person is. So if it's parents or kids of a certain age, see if you can go through schools. If you can't go through schools, how about libraries? How about rec centers, grocery stores, doctor's offices? Where else do parents and their kids go? See what you can do to promote in-person, little old-fashioned pamphlet on a corkboard often can drum up some support as well. And then having the social media or the online presence is sort of the next layer that brings people in. So we are not at all saying that we don't want you to do the other types of event amplification and promotion. We think that you should do as much as possible, incorporate both types of tools. So we'll see you online. That's where we'll be. Unfortunately, with upwards of 280 events going on in March, we're not going to be able to attend them all personally. So we really, really look forward. We're counting on you to share your stories, share pictures, videos if you've got them, quotes from participants. You can find us at NEM Ontario, #NEM 2015. If you don't remember anything else, those are two really good things to remember right there. Engineering, #engineering, #technology, #world of difference, all good places to look. And as I said, the website as well, nemontario.ca. I hope you are mostly familiar with that. We have our events listings up there. We have information from our sponsors. We have our blog. We have profiles of people. We have information from our partners. Lots of great stuff that we work hard to keep that content really fresh and relevant and well-designed for you. And if you need things as an event organizer as well, that's where you'll find them. So here's my email address. If you have any questions, please do follow up with me. I'd be very happy to help you with any questions, or if you're feeling, like I said, overwhelmed or a little bit lost with all this stuff, that's really no problem. We want you to think of these tools the way that are just going to help you do what you want to do, which is spread the word about engineering and technology and tell great stories and shift public awareness. So thank you for listening, and I'm now going to stop the recording and ask if there are any questions.